If you're a rapper and you're bringing 50 people to the studio with you, your song is already trash, and here's why. The number one mistake rappers make when they come to the studio is bringing their entire crew, is bringing their entire entourage. Unfortunately, when you bring all of these people, you are definitely downgrading the potential of your song because it's just too much going on. It's too many distractions. What it tells me when you bring a bunch of people to the studio with you, even if they are really good people, they're your friends, they're a good vibe, they're a good energy, whatever you want to say, is it's showing me that you are not necessarily very intentional about your music. The reason why I say that is because you're not being intentional about the energies you are allowing around yourself. I know this is going to come as a harsh truth or a harsh reality for some people, but not everybody that you are bringing to the studio with you, not everybody who's just tagging along for a good time has the best intentions for you and your music. So it is worth making sure that you are really paying attention to who is actually pouring into you and your artistry and who's paying attention to what you're recording when you're in the studio. Music is energetic and it's spiritual. So of course, any energies, any vibes that you bring around, those vibes can actually seep into the music. It can affect you and your performance depending on the kind of people that you have around. So you need to be really careful about who you're bringing around. If you have somebody who is talking really loudly, if they're drunk, if they are inebriated with something, if they are having a phone conversation really loudly to where it is distracting the engineer, if they're talking to the engineer the whole time and taking away the engineer's focus from you in the booth and what you're recording, all of those things can affect the spirit. It can affect the energy of what's being put onto the track. These are things that I want to point out to you so that you can be mindful when you're going to the studio. And you know, some of your homeboys, they don't have bad intentions, especially the ones who are talking to the engineer. I actually get this quite often, especially being a female engineer. There's usually a group of guys who come in and somebody or a few people are interested in engineering and they think it's so cool that I do what I do. And I love that. That is a compliment to me. But what ends up happening is they're so interested in what I'm doing, they're not interested in what their homeboy came here and what he paid for to do at the studio, right? So they're talking to me and they're asking me questions and they're distracting me from paying attention to the artist. And I'm trying to be nice and answer it, but it's also like, I'm also taken out of my vibe and out of my zone because I'm not paying attention to what's going on in the booth. So while they don't have bad intentions, it can mess up the vibe. It can mess up the flow. And it can make it so that we're not making the most of our studio time because there are just too many distractions around. I've also experienced it where I don't want to say this person thinks they're the main character in the room, but there will be people in the studio who just don't understand that we are recording and that the microphone is sensitive and we can pick up on all kinds of sounds depending on how much gain and how much signal I'm sending through the microphone. There will be people in the room with us who are having full-blown loud conversations. And as the engineer, it is my job to listen and hear. Unfortunately, that means I'm hearing everything. So if there's too much going on, like I said before, it's taking away from my concentration for who is in the booth and who is recording, right? So someone will be having a full-blown phone conversation behind me and they're loud, or people are eating, or they're laughing, they're talking, they're joking. And again, these people do not have bad intentions, but it is taking away from the concentration, which takes away from, are we paying attention to making sure that the artist in the booth is giving their very best performance? Yes, we need those good vibes, and yes, we need that good time, that good energy, but we also need to understand that music is fun, but we paid money to be here. We need to walk out with something that we're proud of. So let's be mindful and make sure that we're not doing too much. We're not being too loud. We're not being too distracting. And let's make sure that we're leaving with a great song at the end of the session. Homeboy on the phone, please take it to the lobby. If you are distracting the engineer, you are impeding on the progress of the session and the song. You can take it to the lobby. You don't have to be within earshot of the microphone. Sometimes we pull the microphone into the room where everybody is because it is just better energy to record that around everybody. But we do have to be very mindful of how we are acting when we're in these spaces. When you're bringing people to the studio, I would highly recommend that you bring people who are going to be valuable to the recording process. Energy is one piece of it, but paying attention and being intentional about what we're doing, that is the largest piece when it comes to making music. Everybody has to pour their energy into making sure we're getting the best song, making sure we're getting the best product at the end of the session. So if someone is coming to the studio and they're distracting, and this is what they always do every single time, and they're not respecting that this is a recording space, they might not need to come back to the next session. If you are asking for people's opinion about, hey bro, how do you think I did on that last take, and nobody in the room can give you an answer, it's time to reevaluate who you brought to the session with you. Now, on the other hand, when you look out into the control room from the booth and you're asking everybody, hey, what do y'all think about this take that I just did? Take note of the people who say, hey bro, that was dope. And if that's all they ever say all the time, okay, maybe it is actually dope, but maybe they're not as engaged as you think. Pay attention to the person who is speaking out and saying, hey bro, that was dope, but I think you can say such and such line over. I think you can get it better. I think you can give more energy. Sometimes we don't like to be corrected. We don't like to be critiqued, but those are the exact people and those are the exact type of things you need to happen when you're in the studio. That person is locked in. They're tuned into what you're doing. They're concentrating. They are focused on what you're focused on. You want those kind of people around you in the studio. So take note of the people who are really giving you like constructive feedback when you're in the sessions. Make sure those people are available anytime you come to record at the studio. The number one issue I see when it comes to entourages coming to the studio with the artist is that a lot of people are there for the lifestyle. They're there for the photo opportunities, and they are there because it sounds cool to say like, oh, we were in the studio until 5 o'clock in the morning, right? It sounds very cool, but you want to be mindful that you are bringing around people who, like I said, they have the interest of the music at heart, and they want you to do your best when you come to the studio. You want people who are going to encourage you to do the best that you can. You want people who are going to encourage you to have a great work ethic, but you need other people with great work ethic around you. You need other people with great focus around you. Music can be fun and it can bring a lot of benefits. It can bring a lot of money, but you need to put in the work before you get to that point. Before you can cement that lifestyle, you need to keep putting in the work to even get to that point. So make sure that the people you're bringing around you all have that and understand that and keep that goal in mind. We are here to work. We can ride out, we can vibe out to the music when we're done here, but when we're in the studio, we are locked in and we are making sure that we putting in the work to get the best possible record out so that we can make it to the big stages, so that we can make that money, so that we can take care of everybody in the crew. Music is fun, but it also runs very deep. And what ends up happening is the artist is the one who will end up taking care of the family or taking care of the people who are there. So you need to make sure that the people who are there are making sure they are taking care of you and contributing to your dreams and your goals, because when you win, you can make sure everybody wins. When everybody is making sure you win, that's when y'all can really come up together. So make sure you are bringing the right people into your sessions when you are coming to the studio, and avoid the mistake of having an entourage full of people who could care less about whether or not you make it with the music. Thank you for tuning in to LexChat. If this helped you, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. In the comments, let me know what topics you want to chat about. But until next time, my name is LexC. Peace.
Right away, on your throne right away, and now you gone for brighter days. Damn. If the sun don't shine tonight, promise I ain't letting go. If my heart ain't in it and I'm gone for a minute, then I promise I'ma lose control. Ain't no trusting right when the wrong is right away. Ain't no fuss, we fight away. I know, I promise I ain't letting go. I promise I ain't letting go. I promise I ain't